Hello, hello. Welcome back to another live and welcome to Rakib. Rakib, how are you today?
What was that?
How are you today?
Yeah, not bad. As you can tell, I'm not in my usual space, so making the most of staying at home today.
Oh, nice, nice. I mean, it's a new work-life balance now being at home, isn't it?
Pretty much. I was like, there's no point going to the office when it's just me there, so I was just going to work from home. So I'm sitting on the floor right now because lighting's an issue in Auckland with rain all the time.
Oh, it's back to raining. I can't tell
Yeah.
you, unfortunately I have to tell you it's brilliant every day in Marlborough.
Right.
It's sunny
Has it
here.
been?
Sorry.
Yeah. I saw how you went out for a wine in the weekend while it was a bit
I
foggy, and I
did.
was like, so jealous.
I did. I heard that Auckland weather was pretty average othering. Hey,
Yeah, pretty
Rakib,
much rain most of the time.
I'm really excited about today because there is so much going on in the social media space right now. And whilst not everything has dropped into market, there is some meaty topics and changes going on out there, isn't there?
There has been. I mean, HubSpot, which is probably the biggest little insider that we have, has released this latest 2022 trends, which you shared with me in the first place. And I was like, oh, I have to read 130 pages. After reading all 130 pages, it was so beneficial to what we actually need to talk about today. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolute gold. And I'm not going to hold back. Let's get started. I'm going to let you roll with some of these because some of these are just doozies, and and there's lots of things to share today. So we've got to get through quite a lot. So hit us with it, Rakib.
Sounds good. Well, let's start with TikTok, I guess, because that's probably the biggest trend that everyone is seeing right now. I'm sure we've all heard about it. I'm sure we've seen our kids use it. Not that I have kids, but you know what I mean. The reason I mentioned kids is the Gen Z is the biggest people or group that's on it, 13 to 24-year-olds, and that's the ones that will be shaping our future. So they're on it. What I really found surprising was how many downloads they've had in 2021. There was over 3 billion downloads of TikTok on the App Store, which is huge. It's the first app, I think, that has actually taken over any of the Facebook apps. So that's huge.
It's interesting because I was looking at a social media influencer recently, and they were talking about what are people going to use when Facebook and Instagram is no longer the hot topic. It's clearly TikTok, isn't it? It's really TikTok. Like, yeah.
Do you know the best thing I think that people find about TikTok is when you create content, at the moment, if you are making something for Facebook, if you haven't saved it, you're going to have to redo it. But TikTok makes it so much easier to also like repurpose that content onto different platforms, even to LinkedIn. It's so easy within like a click of a button. You've got that same content across different platforms. Just saves you so much time and money, and people love that. They love being able to do that as well.
Yeah. Now, Rakib, I feel that we haven't talked enough about TikTok on our lives. So I feel that we may need to shelf TikTok and actually have a session just on TikTok because I feel that a lot of us just don't have the confidence. We feel like we're meant to be dancing, but we don't have to be dancing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it'll be nice to get you dancing for a TikTok video trace at some stage, but no, like you said, there's definitely more to it than just dancing. There's more to it than just music. You can definitely engage your brand, your audience with using video content, and I definitely think we should definitely bring it up in the next live session at some stage.
Yeah. Now, I'm just going to do a shout out to my accountant. My accountant watches TikTok religiously. And she said, do you know what? I've learned more about my iPhone on TikTok than I have on any other platform.
I know.
So it's a game changer. And I think part of it's really got to do with the fact that you switch off, right? You're watching lots of things and you switch off. And that's what people are really enjoying. And I guess that was the success of stories and reels on the other platforms.
On average, a person spends an hour on TikTok. I mean,
oh, wow.
When was the last time you spent an hour on anything? But stats during lockdown shows that TikTok was the most used app, and on average, an hour was spent on it by a person. That's crazy.
Wow, that is absolutely crazy. Yeah. Now, there is a new breed of social media, and that is Clubhouse. Talk to us about Clubhouse?
It's an interesting one. I don't think many people have heard about Clubhouse because it started off being only for iPhones. So if you were an iOS user, you would only get access to it then. I know that there are changes happening, but Twitter also then went out and was like, you know what? If Clubhouse can do it, so can we. So they've created a space. It's a audio content space, so you don't need to have video. Like how many times have I complained to you that I hate doing lives where I have to show my face every time, even when I haven't had a haircut?
About 5 seconds before this live, yes.
So that would change. That's a game changer because now we can, host similar conversations like these on Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces. It allows you to create authentic conversations with your audience. What I mean by that is it just allows you to have this kind of conversation freely without having to, create content, without having to do presentations. You can just have one-on-one or group conversations with people, like-minded people. It just helps you create a very safe community, I think. Verbally, when you can articulate what your business does, what you guys offer, things you do, and if you engage your right audience into that, I think it just creates that safe place for anyone to come in and talk about how they're feeling, what they want from you. I know a business in Auckland that uses Twitter Spaces as a Q&A session with their customers. So they do similar to what we do right now with the lives. They do something similar on the Spaces where they run a 15-minute conversation where the GM or the operations director comes on and their clients come on at that same time, and it just helps them to have that flow conversation going on, what's working this week, what they need help with, and so forth. So a lot of brands can definitely utilize that as well.
Yeah, now I heard a rumor that Facebook is also looking at a version of Clubhouse, but it's still very much,
it's very still much hush, really. Which leads us quite well into the Facebook rebrand and all the changes that might be coming. I'm sure we've all heard about it in the news with everything that's been happening around Facebook, that they are going through a rebrand. And I think originally we were going to talk a lot more about it here today, but unfortunately we didn't realize that it was supposed to be October the 28th. That is the launch date. So tomorrow, our time, tomorrow morning, our time, they will go through the whole revamp, what they're doing. Mark Zuckerberg's doing a live on Facebook as well about it. And they will be introducing things like the workspace and what that means moving forward. But it's interesting because they will be taking a more of a tech approach on like their new direction. And Facebook is getting a new name. Who would have thought?
What can it be? What could it possibly be? I mean, did you hear that Trump actually created his own social platform?
He has, and I think this is a lot.
Could they be merging?
Timing.
No.
Timing has a lot to do with it, with Trump launching his social media, all these other, TikTok's taking over. So Facebook's like, what do we do? Let's change our name. But no, it also signifies a change and shift in their direction as well, because obviously they are moving more into the tech space. What was interesting was the word that they've used to describe it, which is still a lot hush-hush than what they usually would do things around. But they're creating a universe called Metaverse. What that means, we don't know yet, but it's definitely
that is really interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I was trying to work this one out. So meta being as in metadata essentially, and it's
it could also mean they are extending into different parts of the tech space. So obviously they have a company called Oculus or something along those lines that does like VR. So virtual reality is the new big thing. And we all know that Mark Zuckerberg's a bit of a nerd when it comes to things like that. So I think that's the direction they're going in. And it'll be interesting to see what it means for Facebook and Instagram. But I'm sure we can touch base on that once we know more, which I'm super excited about. But there has been other changes with Facebook. And I know you and I were just talking earlier about some clients. And you mentioned that you saw something. So I thought, it might be worthwhile mentioning that.
Definitely. So only in the last couple of days, if you're going onto a business page, they've actually moved where the business studio sits. So you used to have to scroll down on the left-hand side to find it. Now it's just strategically just placed at the top with all the, I guess you could call the essential keys or the essential icons for most used. I did find just before that went live that I was actually having a lot of problems loading video through Business Suite. I had a whole 24 hours where I couldn't actually load any content, and then all of a sudden this change occurred. So I guess that's a little bit of a hint that if you're starting to find Facebook gets a little bit buggy, maybe something's about to be rolled out.
Usually signifies a change, which alongside that, they've made a few other changes that I took note of last week as well. I don't know how many of us actually use the ads manager already, but the biggest change on there was before, when you used to create a campaign, you were able to kind of get an estimate of how many people would interact with your post, like the number of reach per person. They've changed that now. So the other day I was just looking at a campaign I was setting up, and it was like, audience size, what's that? And then they give you the information button. I was like, okay, I'll click on it just to find out, because that was new. So now it allows you to kind of get an estimate of what the audience size is, rather than how many people will interact with you. I think they are focused more on building solid audience lists now when you create campaigns and stuff. So you are targeting a warmer audience rather than just outreach to anyone and everyone. I think that has something to do with, obviously, cookies and GDPR changes that are happening. So I'm guessing there's a shift there. But what I was very surprised about with a change in Facebook is, which I haven't seen yet in New Zealand, and I think it is still a little bit far off, is they have now launched Facebook Reels in the US. So you know how you can do Reels on Instagram? It's coming on Facebook now as well.
Get out.
I think you'll be able to reshare content between the two platforms. You know how I was talking about TikTok earlier about resharing? I think they're going to allow you to reshare content between Instagram and Facebook. Also, another big
that
change
would make sense, wouldn't it? That would make sense, wouldn't it? Because it seems like what Facebook is trying to do is they're trying to control so much, but they're creating more tools for you. So keeping it together. Because if we think, 3-4 years ago, we were having to use third-party applications to just do almost everything.
Yeah.
And now it's really center.
With that as well, though, because you can reshare content and stuff, one of the other big changes that they're doing is shortly is, how you've got profile linking between Facebook and Instagram if you have business manager or like account profiles. They're going to make that a thing to do in the future. So you still have the option, a lot of us still have the option to have our Instagram separated from Facebook rather than merging them together. And they are still counted as one profile. Very soon, if you're going to not link them up, they will be considered as two profiles. So there will be a restriction put in place to how many profiles you can actually hold. So there was a limit of 5. Somehow it went up to 10. Not sure what their plan is for the future of how many profiles you can have in total.
Wow.
Between Facebook. But there are more changes. We've got a comment.
Hey, Karen. Thanks for the shout out. So I'm not a fan of some of the changes of Facebook having to switch between business and personal profiles. Totally agree. Yeah. Totally agree with that.
A very good thing about having that ability is if you have multiple accounts. I think that was a conversation we had a couple of weeks ago. If you're going to have your profile as a business and then also as a personal, to keep them separated, it's good to have it. But yeah, I get the annoyance of having to shift and how you shift between the profiles as well. The loading speed, all that does take a bit of a turn. But fear not, there will be changes coming, I'm pretty sure, because I did notice some more changes to the business suite, which is where we will end up using as a business to manage our profiles. There's a lot of more changes coming there. I don't know how many of us have already started using it, but File Manager is going to be like a storage system within your business suite as well moving forward, where you can load videos and content and then, use that to kind of make it your library for future like sharing. So that's a big one that's happening. The other thing which I'm excited about, which I still haven't seen on my end yet, is the unified inbox that they will be launching. And that's within your business suite. And what it means is...
Tell us more.
I know. It'll be interesting because you can send out emails within Facebook Business Suite to your audience that you've built, and it includes remarketing campaign, like similar to what I'm guessing.
Emails. So
yes, emails.
This is going to be a bit of a game changer. So rather than having to send a message, you're actually able to send emails
from Facebook Business Suite, which I'm not sure exactly what the fine details are, but we will obviously share it once we do know more. But yeah, according to Facebook, it is a space where you'll be able to send remarketing campaign emails to your audience from Facebook. So I think they are, with workspaces and where they're heading, I think they are looking at, unifying it into one place instead of having multiple different systems to manage your business on social media. They want to make a hub.
Yeah, that is really powerful. So if you've got the ability to you're sharing between platforms, you're able to now engage with your clientele.
Yeah. So not
Facebook's
only are you
really
reaching out to
building,
the cold
yeah.
audience, your warm audience as well in one place. It just saves you from having to go between multiple platforms or different systems and manage them in one place. So that one's definitely going to be one to watch.
Yeah, definitely. That's great. It gets a little bit scary, doesn't it? Because Facebook
It
has
does.
so much control,
Yeah.
but we always have to remember that we actually don't control or own
No.
the client. They're not ours. They are actually Facebook's clients. So
Exactly.
it's really important that with any marketing strategy,
Yeah.
we're looking at ways to get people off Facebook and into your own,
Yeah.
your own CRMs.
Exactly. And that's the thing. We will need to figure out exactly how we want to manage our clients moving forward once this hub is launched, because it will be a game changer, yes, but what it poses as a restriction is we'll find out when the time comes.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting, and I know we've got another topic, because I do really want to talk about Instagram, because I'm really excited about some of the changes on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But what is really interesting at the moment is around the Facebook advertising. Now, you and I have talked a little bit about this, and we're starting to notice that the traction, the conversion is not as high as it used to once be. I've been reading some forums, and it's really interesting that people are predicting that it's just going to get harder and harder, and the more money you spend, you still get lower return to what we were getting once before. It's almost like when we had, if you think about New Zealand, when we had our first lockdown, it went really quiet, and then all of a sudden everyone jumped on Facebook, and there was just ad after ad after ad after ad.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's user fatigue more than anything as well. People are getting tired of seeing ads, so they're not engaging as much. But also, there's so many challenges and restrictions now with the iOS update and with the GDPR changes about what sort of ads we can run, and people do end up giving up. However, Google's made it a lot easier at the moment as well to reach their colder audience through search ads, because then people don't actually see, they actively go out looking for things, and having Google as that source where people use Google to search ads, it's better to invest your money wisely there. But it's interesting though, the little things that Facebook and Instagram are doing. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but there's ads now showing up that you can run directly on Instagram rather than Facebook that lets you direct inquiries to WhatsApp. That's a huge one, I think. And that's going to make a big shift in being able to outreach to your clients, getting them to come to your phone directly, and you can reach them in that moment. So it's that instant messenger that you could do through Messenger before, you can now do with WhatsApp. And having the ability to do it through Instagram is definitely a game changer for a lot of the businesses, because Instagram's definitely visually a lot more engaging with the right audience now when you do sponsored posts than Facebook itself. I mean, I personally haven't used Facebook in the last week, but I've used Instagram for, at least 2 to 3 times a day sort of thing. So makes it a lot more useful having that as an option there.
Yeah, no, there's an element about Instagram that it's an easier platform.
Exactly.
But they both have their places, don't they? Facebook has a place, Instagram has a place. And as much as we love it or hate it, for businesses, we have to start thinking about TikTok, because TikTok is definitely a place.
I agree. With TikTok as well, there's an element where you don't actually need to run paid ads, because if your content engages with the audience, it's free reach. Obviously with their home page, they tend to show users the content that they engage with most. So if people are liking the content you're producing, you're going to keep showing up on their home page. So it does make a lot of a difference. Obviously with Instagram, that's not the case, because you don't get to engage with people you haven't engaged with before. You only do that by following them, whereas TikTok has this option where they show you insights and details of people on the page, and you don't need to pay for it at this stage. I mean, paid ad obviously helps enhance it a lot more, but you have that option to not invest too much money into it and just getting that same return that you're currently getting from other social media platforms.
Yeah, so I'm seriously, we need to do a TikTok session, Ricky.
I agree.
Just to get people, and even for me, like, I have a fear. I will sit on TikTok and go down a rabbit hole, and I don't know where an hour's gone.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important for all of us that, and as a collective, all those that watch us, let's get onto TikTok and let's actually be proactive, because there's a lot of opportunity there. So definitely, we're going to do a session on that.
Only if, Tracy, like I said, you make a video for us.
Okay. I will
Deal?
do a video. I am a woman of my words. I like to show up.
Yes.
So Rakib, if you do, we'll mark it here, Rakib.
I'll
If
do the
you do
presentation.
you'll do the session on TikTok.
Yeah.
Teach me how to do it,
Deal.
and be the people that watch this. Be my witness. I will do a TikTok video. I don't know what
We'll
it will
hold
be
you to
on,
it.
but yes, definitely hold me to it. Now, Instagram, I'm excited about these couple of changes.
Yep.
Along with what we've already talked about. Instagram has just been that little bit clunky. It's been separated, they've been trying to pull it into Facebook, and now we've got a scheduling tool, which is great. But if you try and do anything on the scheduling tool, it's still a little bit clunky. And, a lot of us will take a photo and put it into Canva, manipulate it, bring it back from Canva, pop it into Facebook. It's just been clunky. Now, they've just launched, and it may not be everywhere, but they've just launched the ability for you to go direct into Instagram on your desktop. Whoa! I love this. Yeah. I just had a quick play with this before I went live, because I've been seeing it pop up and I hadn't had access to it, and I now actually have access to it. And it is so easy.
It's going to save us so much time, not having to send things to our phone via email or through, like, what does Apple do, is it audio play or like transfers, whatever they call them these days? We won't have to do that anymore. We can just go and just load it up then and there.
I hear you, Karen. I love it too. It's amazing. We love it too. Yeah. We need more of these cool features to just make our life easier, because it just feels like your time just goes down the drain trying to make things work.
Yeah.
Now, the other feature that they've also released, but via the phone. Now, I didn't check this on the desktop actually, but via the phone is actually the ability to put a link into as a sticker. Now, before you used to have to swipe up to go to the link. Now you can place a sticker.
10,000 followers to be able to do that, right?
Yeah, you don't. I mean, even my cats have now got a link. I can put a link. We don't have a website, but even my
cats might need an e-com store for them.
Yeah, I might need an e-com store. But this is again another change. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to test this out. So we're going to put a link to this live later from our Instagram, so people can come back and check it out and actually have a look. So we're going to actually do a demo of that after this.
That's such a good idea. You could even drive traffic to YouTube, right? And things like that. So if we load the video onto YouTube.
Website, YouTube, back to Facebook, back to a booking page. If it's a product, you can link it back to anything, because it's a URL that you put into that link. So this is awesome. This is going to, it really comes down to the user being creative about how they use these links. So another really good change from Instagram.
Any influencers out there listening to this, things are about to get even better for you, because I'm guessing you don't need to wait till you get to 10K to be able to do that. You can now do brand shout outs and link to their page so much more efficiently.
Yeah, definitely. Now, look, there is still that issue of it's on desktop still, right? So, and the other thing that is still a bit of a pain, that if you want to do captions, it's still desktop. But that might change in time.
Exactly.
We'll just see.
I mean, there's always changes, right?
Exactly. And if you think about it, there has been so many changes lately that I feel now that the time between upgrades is getting shorter and shorter with Facebook and Instagram. And we've just talked about WhatsApp. Well, we know that WhatsApp's in the family, and they're going to be thinking of ways to grow their portfolio for the social community. Now, talking about community, one of the things that is really hot on Facebook's books is creating a sense of community. And what they've learned from lockdown is the absence of people not being able to communicate with each other, that they've actually become more involved with virtual collaboration and virtual groups. And that comes back to what you were saying, Rakib, about the whole workplace, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it, because I think eventually not only will it be a place where you can work, but also a place where you can socialize. So during lockdown, how they were doing those parties and gaming platforms within Facebook that you could, hang out in a room with your family and friends. I think there's going to be a lot of those changes coming our way as well, because they are kind of metaverse, I guess that goes back to the whole idea of a metaverse. They're creating a verse where we can virtually
Exactly.
involve
Live,
personally and
live,
professionally.
play.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I think we are seeing the movement of
yeah,
more collaborative groups and communities on Facebook. So,
yeah.
to those listening, that could actually be an opportunity for how you run your business. Now, there,
Definitely.
the report today that was talking from HubSpot that was talking about we are now in an environment where the consumer controls our brand.
Yeah,
We don't
correct.
control our brand.
No.
They control the brand because they reshare things. They do their own take on our brand. They may do the selfie. They'll do a story. So all of a sudden, my one post about what I do could be recreated in many different ways
Exactly.
by someone else. So then all of a sudden, the perception of my brand is evolving and changing.
And
So
people
having
you would not even think would see your posts all of a sudden are seeing it.
Exactly. So this is one of the reasons why they're talking about these communities is that,
Yeah,
to be able to have a bit more control, but also give that value. And then by doing that, we're creating advocates for our
exactly.
brands and ambassadors. And that's what we want to do. It's a little bit more work. And quite often I talk to tourism operators where they just go, I just want to put an ad in a paper. I
Yeah,
just want to put an ad in a paper. I remember the day when I first started in tourism, you'd put an ad
yeah,
in the paper, you'd spend $3,000, you'd get 40 bookings. You do
exactly.
not get that now.
Yeah.
You do
No.
not get that now. So we are having to mold what we do to our environment. And
Okay.
digital, unfortunately, has just meant that
Yeah.
people can access information really, really quickly. And so therefore it turns over really, really quickly. So us as marketers have to work a lot harder.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's
definitely.
where we come in with these tips. So definitely will be useful for anyone that is listening. If you're not sure, let us know because we can definitely talk about these things.
Definitely. And look, a big thank you to Karen. Karen, we love it when you reach out to us and ask us questions. And for those also that have been asking questions. But what's going to be interesting over the next couple of weeks, Rakib, is what is Facebook going to be? Is it going to be a moment like Prince where he changes his name to the pi sign? Or, hey, what about Kanye West at the moment? He's changed his name to Ye.
What if Donald Trump brings out something better in the next few weeks in terms of social media? Who knows? Who knows what we're in for with social media over the next few weeks? But we'll definitely keep everyone posted.
Totally. We will keep everyone posted. So we will be back in a fortnight with our tips because we think that this could evolve very shortly. But next week, we do have another business that we're going to be chatting to. Can't give out too much detail just yet. Just got to keep that one quiet, but we'll let that one out.
You usually let it slip. By now, you
actually,
I'm very impressed.
The reality is I've actually forgotten. So that's the reality. Really? I know it's there. I've already organized it, but I've forgotten. Anyway, okay, good to talk. Thank you again.
Hang on it, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, like always, if you do like what we do, or I do, or what I actually said that way, Rakib does. Please like, share, comment. Karen, we love that you comment today. We love it when it's all live. And if there is something that you want help with, please don't hesitate to reach out. We love hearing from you when we're not live as well. But until then, we'll see everyone next week. Stay safe, everyone. We'll see you later.
The other one.
Bye.